All right, today I'm gonna get this water pump in. First thing I need to do is drain out the remaining coolant that's in the system. And I apologize in advance if I'm a little low energy. I've been drinking coffee all week, and today I decided I was gonna stop. So pardon me if I trail off a little bit or I'm a little bit less excited than usual, which I'm usually kind of boring, so I don't know how this is gonna be. Anywho, all right, so we're gonna get under here, fire up the big light. Thank you, Mishimoto, for this awesome radiator and this super cool looking drain plug. Hope y'all can see that, but got a pretty cool, their little M logo on the drain plug. So I'm backing that out right now. Y'all can probably only see my arm at the moment, but as soon as I get it out and draining, I will show you where it's coming out of. This is on the passenger side, so hopefully you can see that. Oh, let me back this plug out the rest of the way so we can get a good flow. Oh, there we go. A little squirt. Take this lid off. Oh, there we go. Now we're flowing. Okay. As soon as I released the cap, the filler cap for the radiator reservoir, this stuff got a nice steady flow to it. So set this off to the side. First things first, I need to. This is the Mach 1 motor, and it has a very similar design to the Cobra with the coolant, with this bypass tube up here across the top. And I need to get this out of the way so that I can have easy access to the water pump. Oh man, this thing's messed up. Okay. Well, that's not supposed to come apart like that. Whew. All right, got the hose disconnected from the bypass. Now I'm going to, by the way, this is an 8mm for the pipe clamp, and it's going to be a 10mm for the bolts holding on the water pump. So I'm going to go ahead and loosen these up while there's a bunch of tension on the pulley itself. That way I don't have to use two tools, I can just use this one. Make life easier for myself. So we're going to break all these loose. And then set this 8mm in here. All right, I've got an adapter that goes from the 1/2 inch to 3/8, so I can take my breaker bar and get a good leverage on the tensioner. This makes it nice and easy to just get in there, put some leverage on it, and go ahead and slip the belt off. Now this is a shortened belt. It's bypassing the air conditioner down there and this dummy pulley as well as this one. So a little bit less drag on the belt because I'm not using the air conditioner. So I'm going to go ahead and get this out of the way. I'll tuck that down there for now. Oh, you just want to be difficult, don't you? This will give you a little bit more slack. Okay. So now, this should be really easy to go ahead and pull this off. Okay, that was easy enough. 13 it is. Go ahead and break all these bolts loose. And okay, got one more down here. I think, did I break this one loose? I think I did. Yeah, I sure did. Silly me. That's 2 bolts out. And now for that bottom. Where did you go? Okay. All right, that's the last one. There we go. Looks like the seal was okay, but man, there's a lot of resistance on this pump. You can even hear the high pitch of that metal on metal, and it's fussing and fighting. So that's it for you, buddy. This one, no friction, no squeaky squeaky. Nice and smooth. All right, get the gasket. Oh, boy, that just fell right out. Go ahead and get that gasket put back on. It's easy enough. I'm gonna take some of this coolant, run it around here, and then realign it and wiggle it back in. It's like the gasket's fighting me a little bit. Give it some gentle persuasion. Anybody that knows me or has worked with me knows I love my hammers. There we go. Probably should have put the screws in there, or the bolts in there first to kind of align it. But we'll see if I can wiggle it around and get it lined up. I just like to hurry up and finish one job so I can get on to the next. So right after this, I'm installing some replacement taillights. The previous ones were all jacked up. Some Euro style hideous things that took a beating with all the drifting I was doing and decided to come apart on me. Now I'm not tightening this down yet. I'm just kind of snugging it up. So just kind of getting everything aligned right now before I start torquing everything down. And when I do that, I'm going to do it like I'm doing the lug nuts on the car. I'm going to go in a crisscross pattern to make sure this sets in there nice and evenly. Okay, so snug that up. Snug it up. You gotta be careful with this aluminum. Everything's aluminum on this motor. I don't want to overdo it. I always have a tendency to overdo it. I'm pretty nervous. I don't want to. And I don't have a torque wrench, so I know everybody's gonna say, get a torque wrench. Yes, I know. I should have a torque wrench. All right, time to put the pulley back on. Now, something fell down when I took that off. What was that? Okay. What in the world is that? Is that something important? Where's the other piece? Oh, you're way under there. Okay. I'm not going to be able to get you back out. Okay. So, I don't know if that was a spacer or what in the world that was. I get the feeling that it's not entirely necessary. Let's test fit this. Line it up, and I think this might just be for aligning it. Although, I mean, what's the difference without it? I guess it's just to keep crud out of that ring? I'm not even sure. I'm gonna go with, I think this was for aligning it. So let me try to fish out that other piece. I do love my hammers. All right. Uh-huh. Gotcha. Okay. You know what? That's not even going to go on because there's not a lip. There is no lip on that water pump. That's interesting. I wonder if this is the factory pump. Yeah, there's Ford branding on it. Wow. Good girl. You have lasted a long flipping time. You are a champion. Wow. Bye-bye to the original water pump. My goodness. I'm a killer of pumps. Okay. Ooh, okay, so this is there's very little tolerance there. So I have to get it lined up with the holes before I go torquing this down really good. I'm just going to hand tighten this, and then we'll put the belt back on, and then I'll get them torqued down the rest of the way. Well, that's one way to tighten it down. Okay. All right, fun times. Now I'll put the belt back on. Can I remember how this went on? So it goes there, there, through there, on my power steering, and then up around the alternator. Okay, everybody nice and snug. Yep, everybody lined up. Don't want you eating yourself. Oh, power steering. Oh, there we go. Now you're good. Okay. Fish you out of there. Huh. All right. Let's put our hose back on. And, ooh, you're just falling apart, ain't you, baby girl? So I try to twist this bend away from the block as much as possible to give clearance, but I also don't want to get in the fan, but try to keep it right there in the middle if possible. That way with the the G-force is going back and forth in the car. It's not getting into the belts or getting into the fan. All right. Let's see if our pipe clamp's going to still work. Maybe I have an extra one. So I don't feel like fiddling with this right now. Oh. Where do you think you're going? All right, here we go, here we go, here we go. So, let's slip you back off of here. Snug as a bug in a rug. All right. Not yet ready to fill up the coolant because I still need to put the plug back in down bottom. And thankfully we got this cool little magnetic plug. So it's just going to be hanging out right here. Huh. Collecting all that sludge from the coolant. Wow. All those metallic little pieces. That's not good. But hey, at least it didn't make it into the cylinder. And then this is kind of like the coolant flush. That's really cool how all that stuff is magnetic. Doesn't really want to come off. Wow. Wow, that thing is really working. Can you imagine all that stuff floating around in my coolant tubes and through all the water jackets? That's really incredible. I think this is the first time I've seen a magnetic radiator plug. That's interesting. That last little bit is really hanging on there. All right, time for you to go back in. And in she goes. All right, so that's in by tightened by hand. Where did it, oh, there you are. Let me get the coolant out of the way here. And I'm gonna filter this. Try to send some of that, no, I don't know, that's, seems like quite a waste, but I'd rather be on the safe side and put some fresh fluid in there. Come on. Okay. That's as good as it's gonna get, folks. All right, here we go. So, all right, so I got everything tightened back up, put back together. All is well. Time to refill this sucker with coolant. I'm using Prestone 50/50. No water added. Well, I don't need to add water, rather. Just gonna make sure nothing's coming out the bottom. And once I get this all filled up, we'll go ahead and try to burp the system, let the bubbles come out. You can hear it bubbling up a little bit as it fills those air pockets. The reservoir is starting to fill. I'm pretty confident that once I start this up and let it run for a little bit, that's all going to drain right back down again. Oh yeah, and as I said, that it bubbled up and went on down a little bit more. All right, jug 3. Now this was already pretty low when I started because of all the coolant that had leaked out of the water pump already. It already left a bunch of coolant on the floor of my garage here. Not to mention the stuff that dumped out at the track and on the way back home from the track. I'm actually going to overfill this just a little bit. Okay, there we go. roughly 2.5 bottles. Got her filled back up again. I still got an extra for the next time I overheat the stupid thing. And now all that's left to do is fire it up and let it run for a little bit, try to burp the system. So once that drains down to a level I can put the cap on, I'm going to run the car so it doesn't make a big splash with the cap off. And then once the vehicle's running, I'll go ahead and take the cap off and let it go ahead and bubble and burp. Time to annoy the neighbors. That exhaust leak is not pleasant. So I don't know if you can see, but the level has already gone down quite a bit just since I started it. I'm going to keep adding. Checking for leaks to make sure that nothing's coming out of either the pump or the radiator. Looks like all is well. See the bubbles? Those just kind of burping. As the air is coming out of the system, it's being sucked down. This is the highest point in all of the coolant system right now. So all of the air bubbles want to come up to this point. I think that's pretty much going to do it. It's still bubbling, but the level's not going down, and I need to leave enough room where this will go down to the minimum, the maximum fill level. Right now it's considerably above that. As it's heating up, the fluid is starting to expand. So it's starting to fill itself now. I'm going to let that bubble over for a little bit. Starting to warm up a little bit. It's not even triggered the fan yet. The fan is on a temperature sensor right here, and the radiator still not got hot enough yet for the fan to come on. Try to get a little bit more out of there. So I'm going to let it run for a little bit until I hear that fan kick on, and then I'm going to go ahead and cap it, and that'll be the end of the story. As it's starting to heat up, you can start to see a little bit of steam coming off of here. We'll go ahead and purge that again. And I think it's time to go ahead and cap this because it's getting to a point where it's hot enough to be dangerous. The fan still hasn't yet come on, but it will here shortly. I'm going to go ahead and cap it off now, allow some pressure to build in the system. Alright, so by now y'all know the deal. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, and hit that little bell notification icon so you can get future content like this with this weirdo with a GoPro on his head. Yeah!